Thank you, Cindy. I said to Chris, I always laugh how we put the stairs over there and we always enter from over here. We need to look at that process. So we just want to start by thanking you for joining us this morning in the 5th of our series on risk. And we've had a variety of topics, and today our topic being coaching for clarity and how does that work. Thank you to David for doing the first session this morning. And a lot of what he talked about really leads into where we're going to go for the next approximately hour. So when we look at organizational culture and we look at how we handle that culture and what we do, and David talked about accountable to and for. And how are we accountable to and for what we do every single day in our organization? And so a lot of being accountable is about understanding yourself to start with. And I think in order to be transparent in any organization, that is one of the first steps in building a team and growing your team and being honest not only with your team, but more importantly, being honest with yourself and understanding yourself and where you come from. At any given time, every single one of us in this room is a leader, and at any given time, we can also be a follower. And so understanding our roles, depending on what team you're on, right? Whether it's the work you do every single day when you get up and you go to your job, whether it is within your family, whether it is with your extracurricular activities that you do, is understanding where you're coming from and understanding those around you so that you can adapt and change and grow. And it allows you to get the magic to happen, right? So it's interesting because when I looked at that and David talked about Disney, getting the magic to happen and getting to the effectiveness and the profits and the fun. And all of that magic can happen in every single one of our organizations if we take the opportunity to learn from each other, learn more about ourselves, and how we adapt that to our team. So we want to talk to you about that. We'll talk more about the Myers-Briggs assessment, and we're going to talk about how do we utilize that information and learn to grow our teams and engage those around us. If you don't engage those around you and coach them for better results, there's a lot you're missing in your organizations.
And when you think about engagement, we always hear this amazing buzzword engagement, right? So that's fine. We have great engagement. Everything's good. Here's where we sit. We may not understand each person that's sitting around the table. We may not even take the time to ask the question, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Turnover is a big part of engagement. That employee turnover and what is the cost to an organization who not understanding what's going to keep those people there. There was just a survey done about 3 months ago that surveyed thousands of employers, and 89% of them said people left as why? Why did they leave? What's that? The boss? Actually, employers felt 89% of those employees left because of money. They just thought, obviously, it's a money thing. They're going somewhere else. That's why we're going to do this. So we're not going to up our wage structure. We're going to outpace ourselves. So here's what it is. They surveyed the same people that left. 12% said they left because of money. 12 only left because of money. Understanding was a big part of it. They don't understand what I do. They don't understand me. They have no idea that I'm not number 31924. They don't know me as a person. And I want to go somewhere where there's a culture that is. David talked this morning about mission, vision, and values. Those are concrete things that you have to have, but they have to mean something to the people that are in that front line. Those people that are the gas to the engine. They have to be there. We worked with a client not long ago, and all their supervisors were sitting around the table, and I asked them what they were scared of. The first guy said spiders, and everybody laughed. Another guy joked and said, I'm scared of the dark. The third guy around that table said, I'm scared that this company is going to outgrow me. I've been here for 14 years. We've seen exponential change, and I'm scared that I'm not a fit here anymore. They knew what their vision was. They knew that they make products that feed the world, right from the bottom line. They knew it, they understood it, but they didn't feel that they were a part of it. And that's a scary place to be, without understanding where those people are coming from. Has anyone felt that way? That they were scared that maybe I've been promoted to a level of incompetence and I don't know if I can do this? Nobody? Everyone applies for jobs they're qualified for? David?
David's good.
And I have a couple slides on engagement and quotes, and we're always changing stuff. And I actually saw a webinar 3 days ago that used these quotes, and I thought they hit home really well. A workplace approach resulting in the right conditions for all the members of the organization to give their best each day. Committed to the organization's goals, values, motivated to contribute, and the organizational success with the enhanced sense of well-being. Pretty much sums it up. So I stole it from the webinar. I don't feel bad admitting it. But I like it. They want that sense of well-being. They can know what the mission is, the vision, and the values, but if they don't know what part they play in that, what fit do you end up with? Right now in the workplace, 25% of your employees are engaged. 25%. Across the board. Those are the hoorah, get her done, I'm in employees. 60% are unengaged. 60% are not engaged. And 16 to 20% are actively disengaged. Those are the ones on Facebook, Twitter, killing time because they're done. Or we call them retired on active duty. I'm getting a paycheck. It's really nice and it's comfortable. I don't really want to leave, so I'm just going to hang out. Engagement is a two-way phenomenon with the onus of the organization to establish conditions encouraging engagement and the opportunities for it to be manifest. It's up to us as an organization to engage those people. There isn't another option. They're not going to just automatically do it themselves. How much time do we spend really diving in to find out this is what makes Chris tick? This is it. And if I can harness that passion and that power, they're going to accelerate us to the next level. Not as a leader that you are going to send out this mandate, you're going to be engaged, we're going to do this, and you're going to love it. Not necessarily going to hit the nail on the head with that one. Because we all know what happens. You grab the ball, you have this great idea, you're going to go do it. You run 20 yards with the ball, you see something shiny, and you go the other way. If I come up with an idea and I tell you what makes me tick and you harness what makes me tick, I'm not dropping the ball. You can have a 6'8" linebacker hit me, I'm going to get my ball to the end zone and I'm going to hit that target. The target that the company created, the company's vision and where they want to go, driven by those people that are the smiling face that are talking to your customers. By understanding. Make sense? Maybe. I'll just keep going. We put all these things in place. We talk about strategic planning. We want strategies. We want these corporate communications. We're going to do this nice fuzzy thing that's going to be team building. And we're going to talk about it and we're going to get anyone all revved up. But right in the middle there is where employee engagement's driven. Little tiny pieces. Out of all these massive corporate initiatives, company initiatives, this is where you're going to find that people are going to hit to get engaged. They may have a lot of fun over here, and they may get to know Jimmy better, and they might have had a lot of fun chucking beanbags into a hula hoop, so they had a great afternoon or a great day, but they're taking only a percentage of that, and that's used in engagement and driving that. Corporate communication strategies need to be there for our customers. We need to have that vision. We need to get that message out there, but how much of that message is actually resonating with the people that are going to go out there and sell it? How much of that? It can be a great message. Disney World, it's the happiest place on earth. If you put me in a dress as a princess for days on end, it's not the happiest place on earth for me. So do you have the right people doing the right part of that job? You can have the vision that everyone's going to be happy and you're a cast member and you're part of the team. But if it's not a piece that hits them and they don't understand the why, they're just somebody in a dress. I don't think I'd look good in a dress. I don't think I would pull off being out of Frozen. But that may be where I fit. And in the company, what is the chance that you can grow and expand and you're aware of that? And you know I can be more than the lady in the dress, that I can be something else. There is that opportunity, and my boss or my leader listens to what I have to say. Just think about it. What is that? Do you have people right now that right in your head popped in and you said, nah, that person doesn't like what they're doing? But I'm really busy, and I think he'll end up liking it if we make him do it long enough. He'll get there. He's going to go. But what do?
We talked about being honest, and David talked about secrets, and something tells me that my partner over here would just like to be a frozen princess just for a day.
I like blue. I don't even know.
People generally want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. That is something that we hold true with us no matter who we work with or where we go. And employee engagement is about that. How do we create a balance between the creation of profit, the customer service, and ensuring that our employees are looked after? No matter what you do in this room, whether you make widgets, you flip burgers, you sell insurance, whatever company you have, your greatest asset is the people that you have around you. The greatest asset is the people that you bring into your organization. And a lot of times when we are recruiting individuals, there's one industry I work with, the running joke is, do they have a heartbeat? That does not make a good recruit. What are you looking for? How are you recruiting? And how are you ensuring that that individual is coming and that their vision and what they want to get out of their job is aligning with your goals? And how can you see in that very first step that they're going to be engaged in your process? Because if they're just there with a heartbeat, they're detrimental to your organization. So as we look at what we do every single day, it is that balance. It's that fine circle in the middle that we're looking at. And so no matter what role you have in your organization, it is finding that. You can be a manager, you can be a leader, and what's important to understand is that you don't have to hold a title to be a leader. And one of the things we're going to talk about as we progress this morning is exactly that. Sometimes the greatest leaders in the organization are the ones that don't have the title. And giving them the opportunity to take the lead, to see an idea through, to become successful, is going to be huge for your organization and for that employee in that team. And that's where becoming a coach is really important. And how do you manage all of those roles and juggle everything else you have going on and spend time to coach the employees? If you don't take time every single day to spend with your employees, to spend with your team, to spend with those that are following you, you need to look at what you're doing. Because again, taking the opportunity to coach them, to see how they're doing, to check in with them, it's huge. It's a huge investment that costs very, very little. As David alluded to earlier, hi, good morning, how are you? Great, I gotta go, I'm busy. No, I don't. And one of the roles I held, people walked into my office and said, I don't mean to take any of your time, but I'll be really quick, and I'd go, no, please sit down. Yeah, but I know you have things to do. Yes, but we don't succeed unless I can hear you. Because what you have to say is important. It might not have anything to do with the job, but taking that moment is the hugest investment that you can do. I've done some work in different areas, and in all honesty, I learned a lot from Santa. And we can all learn a lot from Santa.
I'm Santa, by the way.
Again, with the costumes.
Well, I am.
So that's a whole other morning of discussion. But one of the things that I learned from Santa was telling the tale and taking that time. And so when we tell the tale within our organizations as leaders, it's important that you do these 4 things. That you take action. That you create a vision and a mission. But more importantly, you put the steps in place that are going to guide your team. So they know what the expectation is, what the timeline is, what those milestones are. And by doing so, they can take a look at that and they can maybe jump in. And at one point they might go, oh yeah, that's not me. I can't help you with that, but I can help here. And that's where I can bring value to the organization. And so that we learn to adapt. And so we grow from that value. And adapting. Just because we have steps in place, and because we put them in black and white on a piece of paper or up on a board, and we've communicated them, doesn't mean we don't change. Because sometimes within that, we find that there's an area an employee has brought forth to us. Maybe it's something good, and maybe it's something bad. But we take the opportunity to take the bad and learn from it and move forward. If we don't listen to our employees, and we don't engage them, and we don't learn from the moments that they say stop and rejig and start over, it can be very detrimental to your team and to your profit at the end. Taking the time to listen. Taking that moment to stop and really hear how they're doing. Taking that time to spend just with your employees. To stop them in what they're doing. Ask them how it's going. Ask them if there's any problems. And more importantly, when you're asking those questions, is to engage them. Ask them what they think we could do better. Ask them what they think they can change. And being willing, though, to follow through on that. It's great to listen. It's great to engage, but you have to be willing and able to follow that through, to let them run with it, to sometimes give up a little bit of control and allow them to have an opportunity to create magic. Organizations with leaders who coach effectively and frequently increase their business results by 21% compared to those who never coach at all. 21% is a pretty big leap, right? And so if we all could see a 21% growth in what we do every single day, that's huge.
Take a business that where you don't have a coaching environment and compare it to a business that does. You will see amazing differences. Not only in the end results, the 21%, but put a team on the ice that doesn't have a coach and just let them run amok. I coached 8-year-olds this year. If you don't coach them, they are happy to chase butterflies around the ice, lay on the ground, do snow angels in the net, and all these different things because they're waiting for something. The people that work with us are waiting for that same thing. That grab, that hello, that come on, be a part of the team. And if they don't get that, it goes right quick into that 60% that are unengaged. They may not be looking and they may not be on Facebook, but they are going to slide into that 60% real quick. And when that face goes out and you see that 60, you're like, Oh, okay, I may go down the street because you're not bubbly and you're not happy and you're not really selling me on anything. And I can actually tell when people are out there and they're not engaged. You can see it. You can see it in their eyes that, yeah, I want you to do this, but I'm not really indifferent whether you do or not. It's not tied to my pay. It's really not tied to my vacation, which I'm going to take in 2 weeks. But if you do it, that's awesome. How do you accelerate that? How do you grab, but in doing that, understand the why and understand why they do what they do? And value it. Put some value inside that question. Kelly said, you could walk by, good morning, carry on walking. How are you today? Well, if you don't wait for the answer, you might as well not even ask how you're doing today. Because what's the person going to say? Well, actually, I hate my job, and if you could help me, I didn't hear you. Or you have a really good idea that you just walked by and ignored. When we talk about understanding those people, what are those tools that you can use to do that? Whether you're a leader, a manager, the CEO, what are the tools that do that for you? And there's been a lot of money and a lot of work spent researching and studying and putting things in place to understand those people. Engagement-wide surveys that you do to actually ask for feedback and ask how I'm doing as a leader. 360 assessments to actually ask the people to give you honest feedback on how you're doing what you're doing. But in getting those results, not putting up a wall and losing your mind and then go out headhunting people. Because the next time the survey comes out, if you cut half your staff based on the feedback, you're not getting honest feedback, so it really doesn't matter. But how do you build a team of people that are different? That aren't that carbon copy box that we talk here, everyone get in here and do it. Because different strengths are going to give you different results.
As we've discussed, and as we'll continue, understanding individuals' differences and commonalities gives you leverage in your organization. No organization wants everybody to be the same, for the most part. There's different jobs, there's different areas, and what's important is that we look at individuals as just that, and how do you bring them into the team? Differences amongst teams are good, but understanding where the strengths come from and where you can put individuals is really important as well. Isabel Briggs Myers said it's up to each person to recognize his or her true preferences. So when I started, I talked about being honest with yourself before you can be honest with each other. And learning is a continual, perpetual thing. But how many of us take the opportunity to learn about ourselves and to spend that time with a really true in-depth analysis and perhaps talking to others about it? Maybe getting someone to help coach you through and learning those. The Myers-Briggs tool can do just that. It can also help you coach and develop your team. It brings an awareness, and an important awareness not only to yourself, but to those around you. It creates and builds relationships. There's many things that we've worked with in teams that they all of a sudden look at each other, understanding their preferences and understanding their Myers assessments, when all of a sudden someone goes, oh, I get it. She likes order. She likes having a plan. She doesn't do spontaneity well. No wonder she gets angry when I don't meet the deadlines or I don't come close or I don't have a plan. I might perhaps be talking about us. We learned a lot about each other when we did our own Myers-Briggs assessments. And what's interesting to note is that it put that into perspective. What's interesting to note, my husband is the same personality type as Chris is, and I'm the same as his wife. If that doesn't create for an interesting business relationship.
Or a whole lot of headache for me.
Yeah. He all of a sudden went, oh, there's two of you. What's interesting to note, and people don't know about me and are shocked to find out about me, is that I'm an introvert. Being in a room like this morning took everything in me, in all honesty, not to escape and hang out with David in the lobby. It was like, where were you? And often individuals will say to me, how do you do what you do every single day if you're an introvert? Right? For years, I managed people. Had lots of people underneath me. I do this all the time. And people go, but you're an introvert. How do you do it? Because it's about where I get my energy from. At the end of the day, I don't want to spend my time with more people. I want to have quiet. I need some seclusion. I have learned, and it's taken me a long time, to be able to say to my family, and when I used to pick up my kids, this monster would crawl out of me. Mommy, 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 mommy. Now I know to take a step back and go, Mom needs 5 minutes before we will progress with our evening. And they've learned that, right? But being honest with myself first, that I just needed that I just need to step back so that the team around me, which in this case happens to be my family, is far more efficient, likes each other better, does things to a greater degree because we've understood where we come from and are honest with that.
And it takes a lot more than 5 minutes for you
Sometimes
to
I just
not
need
be yours.
5.
And I'm the polar opposite. We can do this all day long. I love being around people. I don't want downtime. I do not want to go and sit and read a book. I don't want quiet. I want go 24/7. If I don't and I'm sitting there, I get bored. You think I have ADHD, but this is actually being an extrovert. It's not that. But it's those things that you do, and if you understand your team, but that person needs to understand themselves. Because you can say all you want, well, you're an extrovert, get going. We got to do this. And for a year, that's what it was. We'd do this, we'd go out for lunch, I'm ready to go out for drinks, let's go meet a client, here we go. And then she'd snap. Like, we didn't even do anything. Like, we're having a good time. What's happening? And as weird as it seems that doing Myers-Briggs and understanding, but her understanding herself to be able to just say, you know what? You go out tonight. I'm just going to hang out and I'll work on the PowerPoint for tomorrow. Sounds good to me. Here we go. But that person needs to understand it because you can think you know someone all you want. I know Tony, loves sports, must be outgoing. This is awesome. He's obviously a go, but do I really understand what makes him tick? If I'm hiring into a company of extroverts and we all work in cubicles and silos and you never see people all day, how excited are those people to come to work and be by themselves or just be sitting there at a computer? How excited are you to do that? If you're an introvert and we have an open office concept and every day at the start of every hour we're all going to get together, we're going to sit around the table and we're going to celebrate. At the end of the day, you're exhausted. You're done. And I really don't want to come to work tomorrow because I'm just absolutely spent. But there's pieces, you can have a job that's in a cubicle, understanding where they get their energy and the other things about them, that you can then incorporate things into the day for those people, the interactions, the understanding. But if they know themselves as well, if someone is starting to go banana sandwich crazy at the end of the day, you understand why. Okay, we just need to slow up here a little bit and not just push them. No, we gotta go and cost those relationships or that piece in the workplace that just ends up being the fuse to the bomb. And being aware of how that looks. And there's a lot of assessment tools out there that people use for this kind of stuff that give you a different look at it, these ones are that personality profile, that preference that you go to that can also change in different situations. You may have a certain outset, and this is the summary of you, but if it gets into a stressful situation, these are the indicators for me to know that you're not feeling okay. And how do you support that? And how do you make those people look at it a little bit different? And know, as a leader, that you're supporting them. Because you can say, hey, take 10 minutes. Let's go for a walk. And you think, wow, how did you know? Doesn't matter how I knew. I just gave you that opportunity not to snap.
So it allows us the ability to coach our employees and our teams. It allows us the ability to put certain individuals into areas, and it teaches us how can we help engage the employees, pulling from their strengths, pulling from their preference. I know that Mary, these are the things she likes. I'm going to ask her if she wants to be involved in this project. I know Jane isn't going to thrive in that environment, so I'm going to ask her if she wants to be in here. And by understanding that, there's value. My coach, my lead, my manager understands me as a person. And that goes a very long way in engagement, in retention, in productivity. So when we take a look at those benefits, these are just some of them, some of the main ones that we look at. Not only as we've talked about improving the self-awareness, but the management of ourselves. Every day is a balance, and lots of times you hear about work-life balance. How are you going to maintain your own balance? And that's important to do so and important to understand so you can go back to your team the next day fresh, enthusiastic, and ready to go. Communication. Huge for improving communication. Huge for understanding how people perceive information and how they need information. So understanding your team through a tool like Myers is really important to get the information to them. Again, we talked about building relationships, growing with each other, adapting. And as Chris talked about, identifying the stressors, understanding the individuals and what is causing them stress and how we can help that. We worked with a family organization, many siblings around the table. You think they knew each other, right? They'd grown up their entire lives and now they work together. When we did the tool with them and we put them into a chart and we put each individual into their Myers-Briggs assessment preference, they all of a sudden went, now I really get it. I thought she was just being the little sister of the group, the one we always catered to, the one we always just did because. But now I really get it. Her personality dictates that this is what she needs from us. Even as a family, they started to see each other differently. They adapted, they could recognize, and they looked at their roles within the organization and they made a change. Because who they thought they had in the right job wasn't necessarily the right person. And so when you look at your organization and you look at individuals within it, maybe you think you have the right person in the job because they came to you with a black and white piece of paper that said they had these skills, and so you put them in job A. Maybe when you look at them as a whole, along with their skills, their personality, where their stressors exist, where they get their energy from, they're better served in job X. And in doing so, again, the engagement increases.
And we're actually helping them be happier by transitioning to that piece and doing that and taking it to another level other than just you're the blue bolt guy at the factory for the next 30 years. Some people like to be the blue bolt guy. I couldn't. But it's that repetition, and what does that look like? I'm going to run through quick the different pieces of the assessment that you're going to fill out to give you an understanding of what these letters are going to mean, and we're going to send a summary, but I want you to have a little understanding of the different areas of the assessment tool and what it looks like. So we talked about introvert and extrovert because that's really easy. It's really clear to see. The loud guy, he's an extrovert, right? Maybe, maybe not. But it's telling you, where do you prefer to focus your attention and where do you get your energy from? And I'm not talking like therapy rocks and stuff. I mean with people and groups or alone, or where do you get that energy from? The next letter that's going to come out is S and N dichotomy. Where do you prefer to take in the information? Are you sensing it? Do you want hard facts? What does that look like? T and F, how do you make decisions? How does that person do it? And I can tell you there's two different people standing on stage here. How do I make my decisions? Bang! Here we go! And we'll fix it later. Sorry. And hers is thought out. Kelly is all about, well, let's make a plan. When we started doing this, I was all about, we need one slide, let's go. Not so much for someone who likes to plan things. In our first presentation, I think you said about 3 words, basically took the headset off and walked away. There was no plan. I don't like this. This is ridiculous. I got warning. I didn't listen because I'm quick and fast. And the last one is J and P. How do you prefer to deal with the outer world? Judging or perceiving? Judging doesn't mean that you're a jerk. It just means you're going to look at things a lot differently. When we look at holistic business principles and we look at the big picture, there are other things and other facets that you always have to take in mind. There are those pieces that you have to look at and go a little bit further. I always use Dave when we're working with other clients in the Henderson philosophy, that it isn't just the insurance, it's that risk factor that goes along with it. And how do you look and how do you approach the entity of what is happening as opposed to a little piece? That's what this all plays into. You can't look at just one little piece of business and think to yourself, we'll be okay. And status quo in today's market does not drive innovation. It's comfortable, it feels really good, but it is not going to accelerate and take you to that next step without putting the octane in that fuel for your engine. This is a higher level. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but when you do fill out your assessment, you could leave them on the tables. We're going to send you an executive document that is going to outline all these different pieces for you. It is going to layer in how you make decisions and what your thoughts are and what does that look like. And start with you. Start right here today when we send it out and take a look at it and ask questions. If you think, well, you know what, this isn't, let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation and figure out, what does this look like? And then using what you know about yourself to progress on to that next step. Because we all think we know each other. I know what's going on. But maybe look a little deeper.
So when you look at your team and you look at team building, this can be a very valuable tool for you, as we've talked about. What's interesting, and we'll send this out for you when we send out your assessments, is that the 2 middle dichotomies, sensing, intuition, and thinking and feeling, are the 2 that will really portray you as a leader. Are you sympathetic and friendly, so you're more cooperative? Are you practical and analytical? So how you put things in place is very strategic, very step-by-step, very black and white. Are you insightful and enthusiastic? So you're going to be cooperative, you're going to be really looking, you're going to be the rah-rah person of your team? Are you logical and analytical? That you might step back a little bit more. Really think about it before putting a plan in place. So it helps you, and it also helps your team. So they understand how you're going to work, how you're going to communicate as a leader. It helps you to build your culture. Understand your culture and where you can go from there. David talked about so many different things this morning, but he talked about resilience. Understanding where you come from can also help you build resilience. Understanding that maybe you're not as strong in an area is important. Understanding your stressors and how you adapt is important in building resilience. And all of this helps you as an individual to coach your team every single day so that they have clarity. So you learn how to communicate with your team so they have clarity. So they have an understanding of where you're going. And every day you spend time understanding where they're coming from and touching on them so you move forward progressively and successfully as a team. I love this quote by Daniel Goldman that says, "You can be the most brilliant innovator, problem solver, or strategic thinker, but if you cannot inspire, motivate, build relationships, or communicate powerfully, those talents will get you nowhere." So take this with you and think about it as a coach. And how are you going to do this every single day? How are you going to build and inspire and grow the relationships within your team, no matter what team you are part of or what team you lead, so that people become engaged and so that you progress together?
And one of the most powerful things that you can do as a leader is be vulnerable. Be humble enough to be vulnerable and open a conversation with something like this to say, you know what? I can't do it all. Or I don't know the answer for the last 2 steps to get to that mission. But together, we can do it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks. Chris and Kelly. It's 11:27. One of our goals is to get you out by 11:30 because we respect your time and we know that it is valuable, so I'm going to be quick. I always think that after something like this, as a continual learner, that it's important to filter things and share ideas. So I'm going to give you 2 of my quick takeaways. The idea of values and rank ordering your values. I spent some time in the fall, had great fortune actually, to go to the Disney Institute and take some training. And, the stuff that David was talking about their 4 values and how they're ranked in that order. And I guess it took listening to David say the exact same thing for it to click in my head. But to me, that was one of the big takeaways. The second thing is just the continual idea that culture is leadership behavior. Doing your values and visions, doing a Myers-Briggs, doing some of these assessments is not a drill. It's not an exercise. It's a way of doing business. It's a way of leading your organization. And for me, that's something that I just continually strive to get better at and continually strive to do. So a couple quick housekeeping things. There's going to be a survey emailed to you. Your feedback is incredibly important. Like I said before, we're committed to continuing this journey of bringing risk education to the business community. So all of your feedback, all the way from how the room was set up to what you want to hear about next, would be greatly appreciated. So please take those 2 minutes to fill that out. If you didn't get a chance to visit the Zywave corner in the back, if you just want to take a piece of paper, write your email address on it, say I'm interested in hearing more, Cindy will actually get in contact with you and tell you what Zywave can do for you and your business. So if you want, you can do that. There's going to be an email follow-up over the next 6 weeks. And basically what this is is 3 separate pieces of content, one from David, one from ourselves, and then one from Chris and Kelly, just solidifying some of this learning because, I know a lot of this is like a fire hose at times. So just to solidify some of that learning, so that's going to be coming out to you. Like they said, put your name and email address on the Myers-Briggs assessments, and then also if you could please leave your lanyard on the table, we'll recycle and use them the next time. Thank yous. Thank you to our event partners, to Intact Insurance for being part of it, to Beyond Connections. Thanks again to our speakers, Chris, Kelly, and David. A special thank you goes out to our leader of risk, Cindy Simmons. She's doing a fantastic job in putting these events together and does a great job. So thank you, Cindy. And also a thank you to our event planners. I Inspire, is she Karen, Lisa in the hall working? They do a fantastic job and would become highly recommended from Henderson Insurance if you're ever looking to put on an event. And most importantly, thank you for attending. Like I said, I know your time is valuable. This is the biggest attendance that we've had so far. So thank you for that, and thank you for your interest. Stay tuned to social media and talk to our representatives for our event in the fall. Thanks very much. Have a great day.